Good evening, Facebook viewers. My name is Tom Lowy. I'm a reporter and columnist from the Galesburg Register-Mail, and I'm out tonight. I'm talking with a lot of folks, as it turns out, which was a good thing. I'm out tonight talking to the committee members of the Out of the Darkness Walk, which is going to be held this coming Saturday at noon. It begins, correct?
Yes.
And what time is pre-registration?
You can register now online, or you can come to the walk at noon and register, and we'll start walking around 1 o'clock.
Around 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Everyone needs to check in.
So, Shelter 2, out at Lake Storey, and let's restart from the beginning and introduce yourselves to me, going from my left to right. Tell people who you are, and then we'll talk about why you're involved, and we'll recap again what people can do to get involved.
I'm Tina Benedict. I'm co-chair of the West Central Illinois Community Walk.
Hi, Tina.
Hi.
I'm Chastity Smith, and I am her partner in crime for the West Central Illinois Walk.
I'm Sharon Parmenter, and I am a newly acquired committee member for the Out of the Walk.
I want to thank the three of you and your entire committee, which consists of some more people that I met tonight, for taking the time out to speak with us and Facebook viewers this evening. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming out.
Whoever's comfortable, whoever wants to go first, tell us what Out of the Darkness is, why it's in Galesburg. Tell us in general what you're trying to do this weekend and what you're trying to do throughout the months.
Okay. We are a walk. We started this in 2011 and brought it to the community, offering a day of peace for people looking for some understanding and to remove the stigma surrounded by suicide and mental health issues. We had probably 175 people that first year. And
Which was 2012?
2011 was the first
I'm sorry.
year. No, you're
I'm sorry.
okay. 2011 the first year.
Right,
and,
2011, okay.
Last year we had over 400 people.
All right.
Just a place for everyone to be able to come and remember those they've lost, or get some information if they're struggling, some support. We have raised, gosh,
Over 125,000.
in our 8 years, and we have used that to provide all of our local schools, high schools and junior highs, with the More Than Sad program for the administration to know the signs if any of the students are more than sad, because there is, some of us struggle and just have a bad day.
Sure.
Some kids are just more than that. Tina and I attended this year some training to bring a survivors of suicide loss support group to our community, which we're hoping to boost off this fall around the holiday time. And I got a confirmation today that Bridgeway is willing to let us host our monthly meetings.
Wow.
So
Facilitators for that.
yeah, so we'll be facilitators. We've got the training this year, and we're pretty excited about.
Tina, let's talk a little bit about before 2011 and 2011. I mean, this is really something over the course of the time that it has happened, but
Yes.
there are some very personal reasons for why this started. So tell us a little bit about your experience and what brought you to Out of the Darkness.
I lost my husband in December 2004, and I was just really needing more support and information to help me get through it.
Now, he committed suicide, and you told me that you turned to grief counseling and groups and a group situation.
Right.
And talk a little bit about that experience.
It was difficult. I felt a little like an outsider there. Most people there were elderly, and they had lost, a loved one due to illness. And I'm not, demeaning that at all, as far as diminishing that grief at all.
Right.
There was a woman that had lost a husband unexpectedly to a heart attack, but no one in this group had lost anyone to suicide.
Right.
And I just didn't feel like it helped me a whole lot. They didn't really understand, even though we had similar grief stages we go through.
Right.
I still had that extra one of that question mark of
Sure.
why, the answer I was never going to get, and no one could really help me find that answer.
And so connect that with Out of the Darkness.
Yes, so I did a lot of research online, found survivors of suicide loss, and in my research looking for support groups, I came across the Out of Darkness community walks, and they were in Chicago. And I just kept an eye on that, and then I seen one was coming up in Springfield in 2010.
Right.
So I had asked Chaz to go with me, and we went to that walk and ended up meeting with the Illinois director. She was there, and talked to her about starting a walk here in Galesburg in Knox County.
Chastity, I want to talk to you about, we talked right at the top, your husband Rob talked about it, you talked about it, and we've all talked about it at this table tonight, the idea of stigma. And let's talk also, leading into Sharon, also the lack of available resources for people. So talk first about the stigma. To be clear, Tina's your cousin, and so you have a close familial connection with this issue. And so you saw a lot of what she was struggling with was not just finding somewhere, but dealing with the stigma attached to...
Well, if you've not been affected directly by mental health issues or suicide, you don't know what to say. You don't know what to do or how to help somebody. And I hope that people never have to be this close knitted to it. But the stigma is, we don't talk about that. The word suicide or depression, that's something, no. It's, that's what our focus is. I mean, watching her go through, literally just going through the motions when she started to who she is now on this journey, I'd do it all over again for her tomorrow.
Right.
You don't realize how many people, though, because of the stigma around it, are affected by it until we brought it to this community. People I've known my whole life I never knew until this walk. People that I have stronger bonds and relationships with now, people I'd never met before.
Right.
We're raising funds and stuff. It's also so that we can hope to bring more mental health care. I mean, they just got the hotline nationwide that got approved. It text 714. Is that right?
That's
right?
okay.
Yeah.
We'll confirm.
Yeah. I just drew a complete blank, but
that's all right.
We're trying really hard to get it out there. We need to bring better mental health to all of us, but especially our kids.
Right.
I mean, it's nothing to read an article for a 10, 12, 14-year-old.
Shocking. Shocking.
To your core as a mom.
Right.
To your core, And Miss Sharon here, she can tell you all about that. And unfortunately, I'm glad you found us there.
Sharon, tell me about your daughter a little bit. Tell me about your daughter.
My daughter was 16, Zoe Lee Parmenter, and she committed suicide. Initially, I blamed every possible avenue for making that choice. She'd left a videotape, and the fact of the matter is, if we could have had her find the therapist, the counselor, someone that she felt comfortable in talking with and sharing with, I don't think that she would have left. I think that she'd still be with us.
And let's be clear, her suicide was in November of 2017, so this is not even a year away.
Correct.
Let's talk a little bit about being involved with Out of the Darkness and this group, because you meet monthly, you have a walk, and you have a trivia night, and you have some flag post kind of events, but you're also a kind of de facto support group for one another.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about how it's impacted your life.
I found a post on my Facebook page that was about the upcoming walk in September. This was back in July or August.
July.
Yeah.
And I reached out and said, is it open to anybody, and just a little blurb about who I was and what I was hoping to accomplish. And then I didn't hear anything back, and I thought, oh, okay. But she was on vacation.
There was good reason.
There was good reason.
Right, gotcha.
And as it turned out, she was going to have one of these meetings that week, and she extended the invitation, and I just hook, line, and sinker. The warmth, the hospitality, the consensus that everybody sitting around that table had been touched by a suicide or a family member or a personal experience with it, and as such, all of them had some knowledge of how maybe the mental health services could use some tweaking.
Right. And better access primarily, and
Yes.
then also
Yes.
maybe an improvement in those actual
Yes.
services, the quality. Tina, I promised one curveball, at least. So I'm going to ask you this, and maybe Sharon can answer afterwards also, or Chastity. It seems to me that there's a preventative side to mental health, but then there's also a care side. You talked about the support groups. Do you feel, I wonder about support for you and your family in the aftermath of it. How hard is that to find? Where do you find it? Is it something that people help you with right off the bat, or are you kind of on your own?
Well, as Chas had said before, people don't know what to say to you. They really don't.
Right.
And it's hard. Family, of course, you can always count on family. Even if they don't understand, they're going to be there to listen.
Right.
For me, I had to turn back to my church. I had to turn back to my faith
Okay,
to help me through.
right. And that played a large role?
Very large role. Very large role in it. There was,
Okay.
many nights when I just spent time with God to help me go to sleep.
Okay. Chastity, what do you, for you, I mean, people might say, well, you're the cousin and you're not, but I know that the impact, it's that rolling impact that
Absolutely.
we've talked about.
Absolutely.
So how, were there services available to you? Did you?
No, you lean on your family, and you lean on your friends, and you all kind of just corral to protect. You know, I mean, you go into protect mode.
Right.
We did on this side of it. You know,
Right.
I mean, it was just before Christmas, for crying out loud, and now we're less than 3 weeks from Christmas, and
Right.
and
And you have children and other people involved.
Yeah,
and children in the family. Yeah.
and just trying to make sure that her daughter could still be a kid, could still
Right.
have Christmas on Christmas morning. She was in no capacity to be that person
Right.
at that time. You know what I
Right.
mean? She did it, but she did it, I think, because we all just rallied. It's what you do. But as far
Support
as
one
out
another.
there in the public, no, I didn't. There was no information that I knew of at the time for help. We just wung it.
Sharon, one of the things I picked up from in the conversation with you is that people will say things, they think maybe they're comforting, or they think maybe that they know some things.
Yes.
And so I guess, do you need help and support in dealing with just having a life outside of the event? A social life outside of the event?
This is now my social life outside
Right,
of the event.
really?
Yes. Getting back to the grief and
Yes,
the counseling,
absolutely.
just ever so briefly an observation.
Absolutely.
When I lost my husband to cancer, he was going to Good Samaritan Hospital in Vincennes, and upon his passing, they had us in grief counseling, and that lasted for 13 weeks
Right.
after he passed.
Right.
There was nothing like that offered when Zoe passed.
Very
Nothing.
interesting.
Not a thing.
Very interesting.
And then you have people that, because they haven't had the personal experience, and some, even though they may have had a personal experience, it's 7 cousins
Right.
ago,
Far enough removed.
far enough
Right.
removed that they don't know what to say,
Right.
and they almost seem to be afraid to communicate
Sure.
with you because
Sure.
I
Again,
know-
it goes back to the stigma
Yes.
that we all talked about
Yes.
at the very top of the night. Facebook viewers, if you're just joining us, I really want to welcome you. I have the privilege tonight to talk to the committee members from Out of the Darkness, and they have a walk every September, and this week, and it's going to be September 15th, Saturday at noon at the Lake Storey. It's the shelter number 2. Okay. So shelter number 2 at Lake Storey, noon on Saturday. You can show up. You can sign up to walk then if you want. You can just show up and walk. You don't have to tell anybody you're there, right?
Right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You don't have to speak to a soul if you want to just go out and be with people.
Yep.
We know a lot of people are affected by this issue.
Absolutely.
But Out of the Darkness is a suicide awareness group. It's part of a larger network.
Yep. Part of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention,
Okay.
or AFSP.
And tell us once again, you guys started, I'm going to try not to get this wrong. You guys started in 2011. You've raised how much money since then?
Over $125,000.
And that goes to where primarily?
That goes to for research, for mental health funding. Every year, our actual executive board goes to Washington, D.C., and they have a week where they petition and they fight for specific legislation in mental health, and that provides funding for that as well. Any of the pamphlets, brochures, and information and resources that we can give you if you are struggling or have lost someone, all of the money we raise provides that information. We have it all the time, not just at the walk. If someone's struggling and they can't make it Saturday, contact Tina or I or one of our committee members. We've got information for you.
Okay.
The hotline, the suicide hotline, it pays for that to be run 24/7. I mean, you can call it anytime, any day if you just need someone to talk to.
Okay.
If you're just having a bad day and it's a really dark day, you can call that number and someone will answer and talk to you.
Out of the Darkness has a local Facebook page?
We do.
What's it
We
called?
do. It's a long-winded mouthful. It's out of the darkness, West Central Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not that bad, really, once you get past,
you get to typing it out there, and it's like, holy cow. But if you shorten it, then no one knows who we are.
Right.
So absolutely.
Okay. So Out of the Darkness, West Central Illinois, and they can find your Facebook page there, and that's the local Facebook page.
Yep.
Tina, one last question. Someone's struggling, or someone knows someone else who's struggling with these issues, with the aftermath of a suicide, because we've had them recently locally.
Right.
Talk to that person just briefly and why they should maybe consider coming, why you went to a walk to begin with, and what it is for you.
If you come out there, you'll know that there's no judgment. You automatically will feel a calmness and a peace. And you are accepted, and everyone there is there because they are either struggling or they've lost someone also, and they truly do know what you're feeling, and they're just there for care and support, not for judgment. They're there for you. We're there for everyone that comes out there for whatever their reason, but the walk itself along the path is very peaceful. And even if just for that day, you just feel like you're just at peace with your memories of your loved one, and that you're doing something for the to honor that person, and also to help bring awareness to community so other families do not have to experience that loss.
Thank you. I'm going to go from left to right. Tina Benedict, Chastity Smith, and Sharon Parmenter, thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Facebook viewers, thank you for staying with us. Thank you for paying attention and listening. There's going to be some information right at the top of the comments section. And if you need more information, please start at Out of the Darkness, West Central Illinois, right here on Facebook. You go to that spot and you can find out everything you need. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.